The Leadership in Law podcast is powered by Law Marketing Zone. Transform your firm's digital presence with expert marketing solutions tailored exclusively for attorneys at lawmarketingzone.com.
Welcome to the Leadership in Law podcast with host Marilyn Jenkins. Cut through the noise, get actionable insights and inspiring stories delivered straight to your ears. Your ultimate podcast for navigating the ever-changing world of law firm ownership. In each episode, we dive deep into the critical topics that matter most to you, from unlocking explosive growth to building a thriving team. We connect you with successful firm leaders and industry experts who share their proven strategies and hard-won wisdom. So, whether you're a seasoned leader or just starting your journey as a law firm owner, the Leadership in Law podcast is here to equip you with the knowledge and tools you need to build a successful and fulfilling legal practice.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Marilyn Jenkins, founder of Law Marketing Zone. For more than 20 years, I've helped businesses grow through search, Google Business Profiles, paid advertising, and digital strategy. Since 2018, I've worked exclusively with law firms, helping firms across the country generate more visibility, more qualified leads, and ultimately more signed cases. Today, I want to share with you why I believe an entirely new chapter in legal marketing is here. I call it the authority era. Why AI is changing legal marketing forever. By the end of our time together, I hope you'll never look at your website or your marketing the same way again. If you're building a law firm that's meant to create long-term wealth, equity, and freedom, then what we're talking about today is much bigger than marketing. It's about building business assets that continue creating value long after you created them. Over those years, I've watched our industry evolve over and over again. I remember when simply having a website gave you an advantage. Then Google became the primary gateway to new clients. Then mobile changed everything. Google Business Profiles became essential for local visibility. Local service ads entered the picture. And every few years, Google would roll out another major update that had marketers scrambling to adjust. But I can tell you without hesitation that what we're experiencing today is the biggest shift I've seen in my entire career. For the first time, people are no longer relying solely on search engines to find an attorney. They're asking AI. They're opening ChatGPT and typing, "Who's the best estate planning attorney near me?" They're asking Google AI, "Who's the best family lawyer in Atlanta?" They're asking Gemini, Claude, Perplexity, and other AI platforms questions they used to ask Google. Think about your habits for a moment. How many times have you asked ChatGPT a question this week? Maybe it helped you summarize a document. Maybe it drafted an email. Maybe it answered a question you normally would have searched for online. Your clients are doing exactly the same thing. The difference is they're asking legal questions. They're asking who they should trust, who has experience, who explains things clearly, who has built a reputation for helping people like them. That's a completely different way of discovering an attorney. For more than 2 decades, the conversation in legal marketing has centered around rankings. How do I get to the top of Google? How do I outrank my competitors? How do I rank for more keywords? Those are still important questions, but they're no longer the only questions. Today, another question matters just as much. When AI is asked for a recommendation, does it recognize your firm as the authority? That's a very different challenge. Google's job has traditionally been to organize websites. AI's job is to recommend answers. Those aren't the same thing. You can have a beautiful website, you can rank for important keywords, you can even invest thousands of dollars every month into marketing, and still remain practically invisible when someone asks AI who they should hire. That's happening every single day. In fact, one of the things my team and I do regularly is run AI visibility audits for law firms. We'll ask ChatGPT, Google AI, Gemini, and other platforms dozens of questions that real consumers ask every day. Sometimes the firms we expect to see aren't mentioned once. These are good lawyers, successful firms, established practices, yet AI doesn't recognize them as the authority in their market. That should get every law firm owner's attention. Here's the good news. It isn't about chasing another algorithm. It's about building something much more valuable. Authority. Because while algorithms change, authority compounds. That's what I want to talk with you about today. Not another SEO trick, not another marketing hack. I want to share why I believe the firms that invest in becoming the best educational resource in their market will become the firms that both Google and AI recommend for years to come. And once you understand why this happens, you'll start looking at your website, your content, and your marketing in a completely different way. One of the biggest misconceptions I hear from attorneys is this: Marilyn, isn't AI just another search engine? And the answer is no. And once you understand the difference, you'll understand why so many law firms are struggling to gain visibility today. For more than 20 years, we've all been trained to think about Google. Someone types in a keyword in a search box, Google looks through billions of web pages and returns a list of links. Our goal as marketers has been to convince Google that our page deserves to be near the top of those search results. That strategy still matters, but AI doesn't think the same way. When someone opens ChatGPT, Google AI, Gemini, or another AI assistant, they aren't looking for 10 blue links. They're looking for one good answer. Think about the difference. Instead of searching estate planning attorney Dallas, someone might ask, I'm a business owner with 2 young children. I need to update my will and protect my business if something happens. What type of attorney should I look for? Or they might ask, my husband and I are getting divorced and I'm worried about custody. What should I do first? Those aren't keyword searches. They're conversations, and AI responds differently than a search engine. It tries to understand the intent behind the question, then it looks for the most trustworthy information it has available. That's a fundamental shift. For years, many law firms have measured success by asking, where do I rank? Today, I think a better question is, would AI trust my firm enough to recommend us? Because ranking and being recommended are not the same thing. Imagine you're looking for a surgeon. Would you rather see a list of 20 names, or would you rather have someone you trust explain why 3 surgeons stand out and what makes each one different? That's what AI is trying to do. It's becoming an advisor, not just a directory. And that changes what law firms need to build. Here's a phrase I want you to remember because it really captures what's happening. Google indexes pages, AI recommends authorities. Think about that for a moment. Google can index a page because it exists. AI recommends a law firm because it believes that firm has demonstrated expertise, depth, credibility, and trust. Those are very different standards. So how does a law firm demonstrate authority? Not by saying we're experienced. Every law firm's website says that. Not by claiming we care about our clients. Every law firm says that too. Authority isn't claimed. Authority is demonstrated. It's demonstrated by consistently answering the questions your prospective clients are already asking. It's demonstrated by publishing educational content that goes far beyond what your competitors are willing to create. It's demonstrated by becoming the resource that other people reference, quote, share, and trust. When AI sees a law firm consistently educating the public, answering complex questions, publishing comprehensive guides, and covering a subject from every angle, it starts to recognize patterns. It begins to understand that this firm isn't just talking about estate planning. This firm appears to be an authority on estate planning. The same is true for personal injury, family law, immigration, workers' compensation, business law. The firms that consistently teach become the firms that AI learns to trust. And here's the encouraging part. This isn't about having the biggest marketing budget. It's not about being the oldest firm in town. It's not about producing hundreds of blog posts every year. It's about creating the right content with the right strategy. I've seen firms spend tens of thousands of dollars producing content that never builds authority because every article stands on its own. No connection, no structure, no bigger picture. On the other hand, I've seen firms create one exceptional educational resource that becomes the foundation for an entire marketing ecosystem. That's where everything starts to change. And that brings us to one of the most misunderstood concepts in legal marketing today: cornerstone content. If you're enjoying today's episode, let me ask you a question. When someone in your market searches for the type of cases you handle, does your law firm actually show up? And I'm not just talking about Google anymore. I'm talking about Google Maps, local service ads, Google AI overviews, and even platforms like ChatGPT. Because here's the reality. Search has changed, and a lot of law firms are losing cases every month without realizing where the gaps are. Maybe your rankings look fine, but the phone isn't ringing. Maybe your competitors are showing up in places you're not. Or maybe you're spending money with an agency and still can't clearly connect it to signed cases. That's exactly why we created the Law Firm Visibility Audit. At Law Marketing Zone, we help growth-focused law firms uncover where they're losing visibility, calls, and opportunities online. We look at your SEO, Google Business Profile, local service ads, AI search present, and even intake gaps. No pressure, no hard pitch, just clarity. If you want to see how your firm stacks up and where the opportunities are, head over to Law Marketing Zone and request your complimentary Law Firm Visibility Audit. Now let's get back to the show. Now that we've talked about how AI thinks differently, let's look at why so many law firm websites struggle to become visible. This might surprise you. The problem usually isn't that the firms don't have enough content. The problem is that they have the wrong content. When I audit firm websites, I see a pattern over and over again. There's a homepage, an about page, attorney biographies, practice area pages, a contact page, and then there are dozens, sometimes hundreds of blog posts. On the surface, that sounds impressive, but when I start reading those articles, a pattern quickly emerges. One week it's a blog about holiday driving safety. The next week's an article about a recent court decision. Then there's one about distracted driving, another about a community event, another about changes in state law. Individually, there's nothing wrong with any of those articles, but collectively, they don't tell a story. They don't build expertise. They don't establish authority. They're isolated pieces of information floating around the website without a larger purpose. Imagine walking into a law library and every book's been pulled off the shelves and scattered across the floor. The information is there, but it's impossible to see the structure. That's how many websites look to AI. Now imagine a different library. Every book is organized by subject. Every topic builds on the one before it. Every question naturally leads to the next. If you wanted to learn everything about estate planning, you could. If you wanted to understand personal injury law, every answer is connected. That second library is what an authority website looks like. And that's exactly what AI is trying to understand. Here's something I tell clients all the time. Random content creates random results. Intentional content builds authority. One of the biggest mistakes I see firms treating every blog post as a separate marketing project. Someone says, we need a blog this week, so they write whatever comes to mind. Next week, they do it again. A year later, they've got 50 blog posts. But they haven't built 50 assets. They built 50 islands. None of them support one another. None of them create a complete educational experience. Now imagine a different approach. Instead of asking, what should we write this week? You asked, what is the single best educational resource we could create for someone facing this legal issue? Let's say you're a family law attorney. Instead of publishing 30 unrelated blogs, what if you created the most comprehensive divorce guide in your state? A guide that answered virtually every question someone might have before, during, and after a divorce. You'd explain the legal process, how custody decisions are made, property division, financial planning, mediation, parenting plans, common mistakes, timelines, costs, emotional considerations, practical checklists, frequently asked questions, real examples, downloadable worksheets, links to additional resources. Now think about what you've accomplished. You've stopped writing for search engines. You've started teaching people. And here's the fascinating part. That's exciting. That's exactly what AI is looking for. It isn't asking, did this firm publish a blog last Tuesday? It's recognizing that this firm has built an exceptional body of knowledge around a specific topic. That's authority. Here's another phrase I want you to remember. Most law firms publish content. Authority firms publish knowledge. There's a world of difference between the two. Content fills a calendar. Knowledge solves problems. Content chases keywords. Knowledge answers questions. Content expires. Knowledge compounds. Every guide you create becomes an asset that continues working for your firm month after month, year after year. Instead of constantly asking, what should we post next? You begin asking, what question haven't we answered yet? That simple shift changes everything because every answer strengthens the authority you've already built. Instead of creating disconnected pieces of marketing, you're building an organized body of expertise that demonstrates exactly why your firm deserves to be trusted. And once you understand that principle, the next step becomes obvious. You need a foundation. You need one resource that every other piece of content can support. That's what we call cornerstone content. So let's talk about cornerstone content. This is where I believe the future of legal marketing is heading. When most people hear the word content, they think of blogs. One article this week, another article next week, a social media post tomorrow, maybe a newsletter at the end of the month. Everything is created one piece at a time. It's a constant cycle of asking, what are we going to create next? Cornerstone content flips that entire process upside down. Instead of starting with small pieces, you start by creating the most valuable resource your firm has ever published. Think of it as writing a definitive guide your ideal client wishes they had found on day one. Not a 2-page brochure, not an 800-word blog post, a genuine educational resource. Let's imagine you're an estate planning attorney. Instead of publishing an article titled 5 Reasons You Need a Will, You create something much bigger. You create the complete estate planning guide for families in Texas. Inside the guide, you answer every major question your clients ask. When should someone create a will? What's the difference between a will and a trust? How can parents protect minor children? What happens if someone dies without an estate plan? How are digital assets handled? How often should documents be updated? What should you bring to your first? What common mistakes should families avoid? It should include checklists, frequently asked questions, planning worksheets, timelines, real-world scenarios. Now ask yourself this question. If someone read that guide from beginning to end, would they leave feeling more informed, more confident, and more prepared? If the answer is yes, you've created something far more valuable than another blog post. You've created authority. Now here's where it gets interesting. Most firms stop there. We don't. That one guide becomes the foundation for everything else. Every chapter becomes a service page. Every major question becomes a supporting article. Every checklist becomes a downloadable resource. Every section becomes a podcast episode. Every FAQ becomes a short video. Every topic becomes a social media post. Every explanation becomes a Google Business Profile update. Every story becomes a newsletter. Every insight becomes part of your consultation process. One authority guide doesn't create one marketing asset. It creates dozens, sometimes hundreds. That's why I no longer think of this as content marketing. I think of it as building intellectual property. Every time you invest in an authority guide, you're creating an asset your firm owns, an asset that educates prospective clients while you sleep, an asset that supports consultations, an asset that helps referral partners understand your expertise, an asset that can be printed as a professional book and handed to every prospective client who walks through your door, an asset that powers your website, your videos, your speaking engagements, your seminars, your podcasts, your email marketing, and increasingly your AI visibility. That's a completely different way of thinking about marketing. You're no longer renting attention, you're building equity. Think about that for a moment. Law firms invest thousands of dollars every month in advertising. The moment the budget stops, the leads stop. Advertising absolutely has its place. We manage paid campaigns for law firms every day. When they're done well, they can produce outstanding results. But authority works differently. Every guide you publish, every educational resource you create, every question you answer, every supporting article you add, these assets continue to work long after they're published. They don't disappear at the end of the month. They compound. The value grows. Your website becomes deeper. Your expertise becomes more visible. Your educational library becomes more complete. And AI has more evidence that your firm truly understands the subject. That's why I believe the future belongs to firms that stop asking how many blog posts should we publish this month and start asking what's the next authority asset we should build. Because that's exactly what it is. It's an authority asset, something that increases the value of your business every single year. Here's another shift in thinking that's changed the way I approach legal marketing. For years, we measured marketing by activity. How many blogs, how many social posts, how many emails. Today, I think we should be measuring by assets. How many resources have we created that genuinely educate people? How many definitive guides has our firm published? How many questions have we answered better than anyone else in our market? How much knowledge have we documented? Because every one of those assets strengthens your reputation, strengthens your visibility, strengthens your client experience, and strengthens the signals AI increasingly looks for when deciding which firms deserve to be recommended. That's why I believe cornerstone content isn't just another marketing strategy. It's a foundation of becoming the authority in your market. Just as a recent example, we published 11 pieces of cornerstone content for a client in February. By April, their website traffic had gone up 54.5%, and their AI mentions were way up on all their different locations. So if authority is a goal and cornerstone content is the foundation, the obvious question becomes, how do we actually build it? Over the last year, my team and I have been asking ourselves the same question. We've been studying how AI evaluates information. We've been watching how Google AI overviews are changing search. We've been testing prompts across ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and other AI platforms. We've been auditing law firm websites in markets all across the country. And one pattern keeps appearing. The firms that consistently demonstrated depth, structure, and expertise were the firms most likely to earn visibility. Not because they had more content, because they had a better system. That realization led us to build something we now call the Authority Build. It's not a software platform. It's not another SEO package. And it certainly isn't about publishing more blog posts. It's a framework for transforming what your firm already knows into a collection of authority assets that work together. Everything begins with one question. What is the definitive resource our ideal client needs? That guide becomes the foundation. From there, every chapter becomes useful, something more useful. Your service pages become more educational and more comprehensive. Supporting articles answer the questions that naturally branch from the guide. Checklists help prospective clients prepare for consultations. Downloaded resources give visitors something valuable they can take with them. Frequently asked questions become rich content that serves both visitors and AI. Your attorneys have material for podcast interviews, webinars, CLE presentations, and community seminars. Your social media team never has to wonder about what to post because every topic already exists within your authority guide. Your Google Business Profile updates reinforce the same themes month after month. Your email newsletters educate instead of simply promote. Your intake team has better educational resources to share with prospective clients. Even your referral partners have something meaningful they can hand to people who need legal help. Do you see what's happening? Instead of creating marketing one piece at a time, everything becomes from one central source of truth. That's why I call it an authority ecosystem. Every asset reinforces every other asset. Every page strengthens the guide. Every article strengthens the topic. Every video points people back to your educational resources. Every answer builds trust. And trust is what authority is built on. One of my favorite parts of this approach is that it creates consistency. Think about how many different people communicate your firm's message. Your attorneys, your intake team, your marketing coordinator, social media manager, outside agencies, referral partners, sometimes they all describe your firm a little differently. When you've built an authority guide, everyone is drawing from the same body of knowledge. Your messaging becomes clearer, your teaching becomes more consistent, your client experience improves because everyone is communicating from the same foundation. There's another benefit that often surprises attorneys. Many firms eventually print their authority guide as a professionally bound book. Imagine finishing a consultation and saying, "Before you leave, I'd like you to take this home. It answers the questions we discussed today, along with many others that you're likely to come up with over the next few weeks." Now, that's a very different experience than handing someone a business card or a brochure. The guide continues educating long after consultation ends. Family members read it, friends see it, referral partners keep copies in their offices. Clients return to it when new questions arise. It becomes one more tangible expression of your expertise. And here's something I believe in all my heart. The firms that become known as teachers will increasingly become the firms that AI recommends, because teaching leaves evidence. Every guide, every explanation, every checklist, every video, every article, every question answered. Those aren't just marketing pieces. They're proof that your firm understands the law, proof that you care enough to educate, proof that you're committed to helping people before they ever become clients. That's the kind of evidence AI is learning to recognize, and I believe it's the direction legal marketing is heading. As we wrap up, I'd like to leave you with one final thought. Throughout my career, I've watched legal marketing evolve through distinct eras. First, simply having a website gave firms an advantage. Then we entered the SEO era where rankings became the focus. After that came the content era. Everyone was told to publish more blogs, post more on social media, send more emails, and simply create more content. Today, I believe we've entered something entirely different. We've entered the authority era. The firms that thrive over the next decade won't necessarily be the ones producing the most content. They'll be the firms building the most trusted body of knowledge. Think about your own practice for a moment. Over the years, you've answered thousands of client questions. You've guided families through difficult decisions. You've solved complex legal problems. You've negotiated settlements. You've stood in courtrooms. You've earned wisdom that only comes through experience. The question is, where does that wisdom live? Does it stay in your head? Does it disappear after every consultation? Or is it being transformed into an asset that continues educating people long after you've finished speaking? That's the opportunity in front of every law firm today. Your website should be more than a digital brochure. It should become your firm's knowledge center, a place where prospective clients find answers, where referral partners gain confidence in sending people your way, where journalists discover reliable information, where AI consistently finds evidence of your expertise. When that happens, your marketing begins to work differently. You're no longer chasing attention, you're earning trust. You're no longer trying to convince people you're the right attorney. Your knowledge begins making that case for you before the first consultation ever takes place. That's what authority does. It changes the conversation before the conversation even begins. Before we finish today, I'd like to leave you with a free resource that will help you get started. I've created a guide called 5 Things I Do for My Clients to Improve AI Visibility in Google AI and ChatGPT. This isn't a sales brochure. It's a practical checklist based on some audits my team and I perform for law firms around the country. Inside, you'll discover 5 opportunities that can immediately improve your AI, how AI understands your firm, and how effectively your website communicates your expertise. You can download it for free, completely free, at 5things.lawmarketingzone.com. And that's the number 5, things.lawmarketingzone.com. I hope you take a few minutes and read through it and begin looking at your firm's website through a different lens. Not a collection of pages, but as a beginning of your firm's knowledge library. And if after reading the guide, you'd like to know where your firm stands today, we'd be happy to run and provide the complimentary AI visibility and authority audit. We'll show you how your firm currently appears across AI platforms, where you're already building authority, where the gaps are, what I would if I were building your firm's authority from the ground up. Whether you decide to work with us or implement these ideas yourself, my hope is that today's conversation changes the way you think about legal marketing. I'd like to leave you with this challenge. Don't ask yourself, how can I publish more content this month? Ask yourself, what can I teach that will still be helping people 5 years from now? Because that's what authority is. Authority isn't volume. Authority isn't noise. Authority isn't chasing algorithms. Authority is becoming the most trusted teacher in your market. The lawyers who commit to that mission won't just earn better rankings. They'll build stronger brands, serve more people, create better client experiences, earn more referrals, and increasingly, they'll become the firms AI chooses to recommend. That's a wrap on today's episode of the Leadership in Law podcast. Before you go, I want to make sure that you know about something that could be a real game changer for your firm. If you've been doing the work, showing up, serving clients, but your marketing still isn't producing the caseload you know you deserve, that's exactly the problem Law Marketing Zone was built to solve. My team and I work exclusively with law firms, and we don't do cookie cutter. We build a strategy around your practice, your market, and your goals. More high-quality leads, better cases, less stress, and more profit. Head over to lawmarketingzone.com/book a call and book your free case growth session today. The link is in the show notes. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next episode.
Thanks for joining us on another episode of the Leadership in Law podcast. Remember, you're not alone on this journey. There's a whole community of law firm owners out there facing similar challenges and striving for the same success. Head over to our website at lawmarketingzone.com. From there, connect with other listeners, access valuable resources, and stay up to date on the latest episodes. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Until next time, keep leading with vision and keep growing your firm.
Before you go, if you're working with a legal marketing agency and still not sure what's driving your cases, it may be time for a second opinion. At Law Marketing Zone, we help law firms uncover the visibility gaps, wasted spend, and missed opportunities that could be costing them cases. Request your complimentary law firm visibility audit at lawmarketingzone.com and get clarity on what's really happening in your marketing. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time on Leadership in Law.